Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to peel back the curtain on multimedia. We're going to look at both the art and the science that goes into making content that doesn't just look good, but actually feels right and really connects with people. All right, let's jump in. So, let's kick things off with a question that I know you've thought about. You've sat through so many presentations, right? And you've wondered, what is the secret sauce? What is it that makes some visuals just stick in your brain, while others, they just completely vanish the second you look away? Well, we're going to answer that by going on a little journey, a creator's journey, together. First, we'll cover the absolute basics, the building blocks. Then we'll dive into how to design for the human eye. After that, we'll get into the science of compression. And finally, we'll see how it all comes together when you're ready to make something and share it with the world. Okay, first things first. Let's make sure we're all on the same page. The word multimedia gets thrown around all the time, so let's lock in exactly what we're talking about. Really, at its heart, multimedia is just the art of mixing different types of content, text, sound, pictures, video, to create one single, richer experience. And it's so common now that we barely even notice it. It's basically the native language of our phones, our apps, the entire internet. So now we know what it is. Let's get to the interesting part. How do we do it well? How can we design our content so that it works with our brains, not against them, to create something that's genuinely effective? Let's start with the most fundamental piece of the puzzle, the words on your screen. Getting this right is so critical, and thankfully there are 3 really simple rules you can follow to make your text 1,000 times better. The main takeaway here is super simple. Just keep it big, keep it brief, and keep it clean. That means a nice, big font size, don't cram more than 8 lines of text onto a single screen, and try to stick with a clean sans serif font. Think something like Arial. And you can see the difference so clearly right here. The serif font on the left has those little feet on the letters. Now that's great for print, but on a screen, they can kind of blur together and just make your eyes tired. The font on the right, though, it's clean, it's crisp, it's just much easier for our eyes to scan quickly. Okay, so just as important as the shape of your letters is the color contrast between your text and its background. If you get this wrong, your message is quite literally unreadable. I mean, you can feel the difference instantly, right? The low contrast example on the left is a total headache to even try to read. The easiest trick in the book for getting high contrast is to just use the opposite or complementary color. There's even a little formula for it. If your text color has an RGB value of, say, R, G, B, then a fantastic background color is just 255 minus R, 255 minus G, and 255 minus B. Simple. All right, let's switch gears to video. Think about it this way. If individual video clips are the words and scenes are the sentences, then transitions are like the punctuation. They tell the viewer that we're changing scenes or ideas or the pace of the story, and they have a huge effect on the whole experience. These are the heavy hitters you'll see everywhere. A cut is the most basic. It's an instant jump. Bam, new shot. A dissolve is much softer. It kind of blends 2 shots together. And a fade out to black, that's the classic way to say the end, or at least the end of this chapter. Each one creates a completely different mood for your audience. Now for the science bit. How in the world do we get these beautifully designed but often gigantic multimedia files from our computer to our audience without completely crashing their internet? The answer, in one word, is compression. Yeah, it all comes down to this one fundamental problem, the absolutely mind-boggling amount of data that's packed into multimedia. A single frame of video is a full-resolution image, and you're dealing with 30 of those every single second. Just take a look at these numbers. Seriously, without doing anything to it, a single minute of 4K video could be 30 gigabytes. 30! That's impossible. You can't store that on your phone, and you definitely can't stream it smoothly over Wi-Fi. And this is where data compression swoops in to save the day. It's basically a technical process that uses really clever algorithms to shrink the total number of bits in a file, making those enormous files way smaller and easier to handle. But, and this is a really big but, there is always a trade-off. As this chart shows, the more we compress a file to make it smaller, the more visual quality we lose. A little bit of compression you'll probably never notice, but if you push it way too far, like you see in that last bar, you just end up with a blocky, pixelated, totally unusable image. So, you've designed your visuals, you've managed your file sizes. What's the last piece of the puzzle? Well, it's how you bring it all together and actually get it out into the world.
The professional design process usually follows a pretty clear path. It all starts with a storyboard, which is basically a visual plan, kind of like a comic book of your project. From there, you build a rough first version, a prototype, and then, crucially, you get that prototype in front of real people to get their feedback before you finalize everything.
And no matter how fancy your tools are or how strict your process is, this quote really gets to the absolute heart of it. None of the technical stuff matters if the content itself isn't compelling. A great story, a powerful idea, that is always, always the foundation. But here's the thing that has completely changed the game in the last couple of decades. Who gets to create and share that content? It's not just the big studios anymore. Not by a long shot. This timeline really tells the story of a revolution. I mean, in 2005, YouTube comes along and completely changes everything, letting anyone with a camera become a publisher. Then, services like the BBC iPlayer proved that high-quality streaming was actually possible. And now, now we live in a world where we expect to watch whatever we want on any screen we own at any time. The power has totally shifted from the few to the many. So, what's the bottom line in all of this? It's that whether you're a pro designer or just someone with a cool story to tell, understanding these fundamentals, the design, the compression, the distribution, that's what gives you the power to make something that truly connects with people. And that really just leaves us with one final thought. The tools and the knowledge are out there, and they're more accessible than they have ever been. So the only question left is, what story are you going to tell?